Douglas Grummins, and I'm going to be your reader. This reading is for a young lady named Tara who lost her husband recently. And I've never done a reading for someone who's lost somebody, but the issue is guidance now what to do after the passing. I mean, how do we proceed in life? And I use these Osho cards, and I found them to be very beautiful cards, and they can give us insight as to how we're supposed to move forward or move on, and more clarity on the issue that we ask the cards. So anyway, if you don't have the Osho cards, or if you want to get them, um, this is what the package looks like, and they're available at almost all tarot stores. I like them because they're not about predicting the future. They're more about guiding you in the future, or in the present moment, which becomes the future. So anyway, we're going to do the typical, again, the diamond, this one right here, the diamond card layout. And card number 1 is the issue. Card number 2 is the internal influence that you are unable to see. And 3 is the external influence of which you are aware of already. 4 is what is needed for resolution, and 5 is the resolution, or for the understanding of her husband's passing. Before we get into the reading, I'd like to share a few moments with you. I've been doing tarot card readings for quite a while, but I've never charged anybody. I'm not doing this for the money. And let's say when I lived in Virginia, I moved from Texas to Virginia in '98, at the kind of like the middle or later part of 1998. And we bought our house from a gentleman named Hoger, big jolly fellow. He used to be a cop. Real nice person, but we bought the house from him and his wife, and they moved to Florida. Well, about 6 months later, doors started opening in the house by themselves. Light bulbs would unscrew themselves from the fixtures and then be laying on the floor, not broken, but they're laying on the carpet. And you're like, how'd that light bulb get down there? All these strange occurrences started happening in the house, and we didn't know what was going on. But I'll say that I think as about a month after all the stuff started occurring, we found out that Hoger died. And I feel that he came back to the house and he was just making his presence known. But little did I know that his presence opened a doorway for other spirits to communicate to me, people who have passed away. I never get haunted. The only person that kept sticking around was Hoger, because I guess he felt like that was his house. And maybe he didn't like Florida that much. Who knows? But so I would get people visiting me when somebody I know passed away, or if somebody that like died in skydiving who was a friend of mine, or just share the same interest as me and the same love as me. When they passed away, some people would say certain like things to me, and I wouldn't know what it means until the next day. And then sometimes I wouldn't know that somebody died. I would find out the next day that somebody died. And that night I usually get visited as I'm drifting to falling asleep. Somebody will whisper something into my ear. And one of the times was, it was on a Friday night. One of my buddies, he wasn't a close buddy, he was a Navy pilot. Guy flew jet planes, and he was into parachuting as well as I was. And my plan was to go out Saturday because I was working Friday, of course. So Saturday I was going to go jump. Well, he died that night, Friday night. And then as I was falling asleep on Friday night, somebody whispered in my ear, 5-man train. And I jump and I startled and I'm like, what is 5-man train? What does that mean? And then the next day I was at the drop zone, and I of course I was sad at the loss of and disheartened but about him dying from skydiving. But it wasn't going to stop me from going up and getting a jump in. Skydivers can be like that at times, but it is hard and everything. But so anyway, I was going to jump by myself, and I manifested onto a load. And when it came time to head towards the plane. I was walking towards the plane, doing a gear check, make sure I'm okay, everything's all right. And a buddy of mine ran up to me and said, "Hey, Doug, you want to do a 5-man train with us?" And I'm like, "Whoa, what's a 5-man train?" It's when we all hang out of the airplane and we put our arms under each other's legs and we make a chain of people. And then when we leave the plane, we try to fall and stay in that formation as you go soaring through the sky, up to when you get over the hill. And we held the formation for quite a while. I did do the 5-man train, but I've never heard or knew what that was until then. So all these spiritual, mystical moments have happened to me. And in a lot of ways, it feels sometimes like a curse and then sometimes like a blessing. Because in a way, I know death is not the end. I mean, I have undeniable proof to my own self. Now, I told that story to one of my psychiatrists one time, and they're like, "Oh yeah," they couldn't explain it. Um, Nobody can explain that story, and that's just one of them. But yeah, so this reading is going to be to give Clara maybe some guidance into what she should do next. What direction should she head? Okay, so here's the cards. I'm going to break them, flip them like this. Okay, so I don't know. I haven't tampered with the cards. I don't really know Tara too well, just from messaging on Facebook. And this is for a spiritual group that we're both in, spiritual support group on Facebook. And here we go, Tara. So I'm going to lay them out now. So in the cross pattern, you can't see it, but I'll hold the cards up every time I flip the card over. I don't know what the card is until I flip it over either. So the surprise is on me too. So card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, card number 4, and card number 5. Like I said, I have no influence except for my essence that maybe radiates in this room. I have incense burning and I have some chanting music going on, which kind of just helps me stay centered and focused on delivering the message to you, my readee. All right. So card number 1 is the issue. And I lift up card number 1. And it's called Beyond Illusion. And it's kind of a beautiful card. It shows like a Buddha with a third eye open and a butterfly over the Buddha's face. So that's kind of cool, if y'all can see that. Beyond Illusion. They're saying that's the issue. Let's read what Osho says about that card. Let's see. Beyond Illusion. I got to look them up and find them. So I think that is XX. XX. There. Hold on. XX. Beyond Illusion, page 42. Okay. So this is a major arcana card, and it's supposed to have some significance when you pull a major arcana right off the bat. Osho says that this is the only distinction between the dream and the real. Reality allows you doubt, and the dream does not allow you doubt. To me, the capacity to doubt is one of the greatest blessings to humanity. The religions have been enemies because they have been cutting the very roots of doubt. And there is a reason why they have been doing that, because they want people to believe in certain illusions that they have been preaching. Why have the people like Gautama Buddha been so insistent that the whole existence, except your witnessing self, except your awareness, is just ephemeral, made of the same stuff that dreams are made of? They are not saying that these trees are not there. They are not saying that these pillars are not there. Don't misunderstand, because of the word illusion. It has been translated as illusion, but illusion is not the right word. Illusion does not exist. Reality exists. Maya is just the in-between. It almost exists. As far as day-to-day activities are concerned, it can be taken as reality. Only in the ultimate sense, from the peak of your illumination, it becomes unreal, illusory. Wow. So that's the first card. And my father passed away a few years back, and he keeps coming in my dreams. In one of my dreams, he actually came to me and said, "I'm not your father anymore. It's time for me to move on." And I thought that was kind of special. But in a recent dream I had just a couple of days ago, my father, who was a pilot, a small commercial pilot, um, and um, that's spam. Sorry, folks. But anyway, so he came to me as a pilot, and he was in like another country like Guam, and I went over to Guam, and I brought my skydiving gear with me, and we did a jump out of his plane. It's kind of a mid-sized cargo plane, and I told my dad, "Man, we should set up operations here, and let me bring some more skydivers, and you can take us up, and it'd be cool. It'd be great to have a drop zone here." So the illusion is there, and in our dreams, like I said, my father is still alive, um, and in a way, of course, your husband lives on through our dreams, through the what I call the ninth dimension. Um, it gets kind of deep and kind of complicated, but we have 7 chakras, and there's three dimensions of space and time. Time is the fourth dimension, you could say, and we have height, depth, and width as the other dimensions that make up the 3 dimensions. But when you go to relate that to a spiritual sense, then your physical body, your root chakra, is another dimension. So it's basically the fifth. And if you count them up from 5 to 11, 11 would be the crown chakra. The heart is the center, which is the eighth, and then you got ninth, 10th, and 11th. Well, what I've found over the years is that through meditation and experiencing these things is when you raise your energies upward into higher dimensions, higher realms of consciousness, when your third eye opens up, you can actually start to see you shifting through these dimensions. And it's kind of beautiful. But in a way, it's also a distraction, because the ultimate thing to do is to go beyond the ninth and 10th and go up to the 11th dimension, which is the highest that we can experience. And that is a total merging. They call it Nirmapalka Samadhi. Nirvanapalka Samadhi is where you disappear, basically, and existence and you merge together. It's so hard to explain, because you're not there. You're not unconscious, but you're not there either. You disappear into existence, and then when you come back, the only way you know you're in Nirvapalka Samadhi is that you are full of bliss. It's just this amazing feeling. You're drunk with bliss, and it's like, wow. But so the other dimensions can distract you from going into Nirvana, this highest realm of Samadhi. Anyway, so that is the issues that we have to go beyond our illusions. And that's my input for card number 1. All right, so card number 2 is the internal influence that you're unable to see. Like I said, I don't know what it's going to say either, but here we go. Wow. Okay, so projections. All right. This card gets drawn a lot with me for some reason. I don't know why, but it's a water card. 7 of water cards. And 7 of water cards is 110. Okay, so I'm gonna read this real quick. I've read it once already today. It came up on a former reading too, and I shuffled these cards really good. So how the same card comes up again, it's mystical. This whole thing is kind of mystical to me. So in a cinema hall, you look at the screen. You never look at the back. The projector is at the back. The film is not there really on the screen. It is just a projection of shadow and light. The film exists just at the back, but you never look at that. And the projector is there. Well, your mind is at the back of the whole thing, and the mind is the projector. But you always look at the other because the other is the screen. When you're in love, the person seems beautiful, no comparison. And when you hate, the same person seems the ugliest, and you'll never become aware of how the same person can be ugliest, and the same person can be the most beautiful. So the only way to reach to truth is to learn how to be immediate in your vision, how to drop the help of the mind. This agency of the mind is the problem, because mind can create only dreams. Though your excitement, the dream starts looking like reality, or in your excitement, through your excitement, the dream starts looking like reality. If you're too excited, then you'll be intoxicated. Then you are not in your own senses. Then whatsoever you see is just your projection. And there are as many worlds as there are minds, because every mind lives in his own world. Wow. So we kind of go about our lives when we meet people. When you first meet somebody very beautiful, and I said this in the last reading too, but I'm going to redo it and re-say it again. When you first meet new people, don't break them down. I know that's kind of like, what? But don't let the mind in. Just go as long as you can without adjectives of describing or trying to find faults in them. The mind is there to do that, to make faults. And but we have these projections of what we think these people are. But if you basically have a moment with the person in silence, and I mean, you can just go about your normal day and doing things that you're doing, but when you see something beautiful, don't break it down, and see how long you can go. If you can go a minute or two without breaking them down, you share a moment with that person, a moment of solitude. And you can do this with a flower too, first, if you feel uncomfortable staring at people. I'm not saying go out and stare at people, but when you look at people, right? But with a flower, you can stare at the flower, and take away the adjectives. Don't think beautiful. Don't think fragrant. Don't think yellow or red or whatever. Take away all the adjectives and just have a moment with the flower. Just dive in and share a moment with existence. You can do it with a sunrise too, or a sunset too. Those are very powerful times and mystical times where the earth is not quite awake and chaotic, and it's not asleep either. It's right in the middle of both sessions. And in the evening, everybody's settling down and getting ready to relax and maybe go to sleep, or they've had their dinners, and the world is less hectic at dawn and dusk. And those are the best times to meditate. And if you meditate and practice awareness and learn to not break people down, but don't make projections, as false projections, as of who they might seem to be, I should say. So that's what I had on projections. That's what Osho had on projections. That's card number 2. Card number 3 is the external influence of which you are aware. And it is the burden. And it looks like a woman with a rooster on her head is holding up somebody who is downtrodden and not doing so well, and doesn't have a whole lot of life in them, and she's kind of like pointing the way, trying to help them. So let's see what Osho has to say about this, the burden. Let's see if I can look it up. Oh, it's kind of give me a minute to look it up here. It's number 6. Oh, that's clouds, page 128. I got you covered. Okay, so the burden. Let me grab a sip of drink before I start reading. I hope you guys are enjoying this so far and staying along with me. But if this reading is not for you, and you stumble upon it and it resonates with you, then go ahead and listen to it and gather what wisdom you can get out of this reading too. You're getting the wisdom of 2 different masters: Osho, that made these cards, and myself, the wave whisperer, you could call me. If you look me up on certain sites, you'll find my nickname's the Wave Whisperer. We'll get into that in a minute. But here's what Osho says about the burden. Man's true life is in the way in which he puts off the lie imposed by others on him. Stripped naked, natural, he is what he is. This is a matter of being and not of becoming. The lie cannot become the truth. The personality cannot become your soul. There is no way to make the non-essential the essential. The non-essential remains non-essential, and the essential remains essential. They are not convertible. And striving towards truth is nothing but creating more confusion. The truth has not to be achieved. It cannot be achieved. It is already the case. Only the lie has to be dropped. And all aims and ends and ideas and goals and ideologies, religions and symptoms of improvement and betterment are lies. Beware of them. Recognize the fact that as you are a lie, manipulated, cultivated by others. Striving after truth is just a distraction and a postponement. It is the lie's way to hide. See the lie. Look deep into the lie of your personality, because to see the lie is to cease to lie. To no longer lie is to seek no more for any truth. There is no need. The moment the lie disappears, truth is there in all its beauty and radiance. In the scene of the lie, it disappears. And what is left is the truth. So I'm going to read the commentary that Osho wrote on this too. So, because I want to know what that rooster is on top of that lady's head and what all this means. He says that when we carry a load of shoulds and shouldn'ts imposed on us by others, we become like this ragged, struggling figure trying to make his way uphill. Go faster, try harder, reach the top, shouts the fool's tyrant that he carries on his shoulder. While the tyrant himself is crowned with an empress rooster. I was wondering why that rooster was there. If life these days feels like a struggle from the cradle to the grave, it could be time to shrug your shoulders and see what it feels like to walk without these characters on your back. You have your own mountains to conquer, your own dreams to fulfill, but you will never have the energy to pursue them until you release yourself from all the expectations you've been gathered from others, but now think they are your own. Chances are they exist only in your own mind, but that doesn't mean they can't weigh you down. It's time to lighten up and send them on their way. That's pretty deep. So we're talking about moving on and what others are expecting of you and everything. And something interesting about that just rang to my head was I had a friend years ago in Houston, and her husband died, and she was a Greek Orthodox. And in the Greek Orthodox religion, they're not allowed to partake in any partying for at least a year after the loved one has died. So Greek Festival came about, and I asked her if she's going to go to Greek Festival, and she said, no, I can't because my husband died and I can't go. And in a way, there's some beauty to that. But after that year's up, she should be able to have grieved and spent enough time reflecting and getting on with her life and realizing that she has dreams herself. She has maybe things that she would like to accomplish, whether it's becoming awakened or maybe traveling or taking on a new hobby or doing something for you, something that's going to enhance your life. I would say, like the card said earlier, focus on the essential. Okay. So awareness, beauty, love, these things are essential. Money is not really essential. It can help make things smoother maybe, but it's not an essential thing to focus on in life. Because if you focus on love, you'll find that all the other things fall into place. Someone who is very loving is also very meditative in a sense. They're very calm and peaceful people. And people who are very meditative are very loving, calm, and giving and sharing. Just like I like to share these cards and share my wisdom with you guys, I get something out of it too. And not that I'm looking for something to get out of it, but when you share, it's the rule of love that the more you share, the more you get back, and you start vibrating at a higher frequency. and you can raise your energy up to those chakras we were talking about earlier. Okay, so the next card, what is needed for resolution? Let's see what this card says. Okay, sorrow. And it shows like a monk in a robe, and he's in a room like of solitude, maybe a quiet room where he can cry and let it all out. Okay, let me find the page. That's the Nine of Clouds. Nine of Clouds is page 134. I'm getting there. We go. Before I read this on sorrow, my own journey, I was married to my, I've been married twice. And my second wife, I was married to her for 20 years. And we grew together spiritually and emotionally. And she helped me become who I am today. And a day came when she said that she wanted to split ways, and she had a different path to follow at that point. And this broke my heart, of course. We were together for 20 years, and I thought we loved each other very much. But things happen in life, and you have to learn to move on. But you can't move on until you cathart all the hurt inside of you. And do that in a controlled place. I found a rooftop that I was working on, and I don't know. I just nobody could hear me up on the rooftop. It was loud. There's air conditioned units everywhere, and it was warm. And I just laid down on the rooftop of this uh, office complex, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I let it all out. I cried and I screamed and I yelled and I let all the pain and all the hurt out. And it wasn't until I did all that that I felt that I could move on. But this moving on doesn't happen instantaneously. This moving on happened maybe over 7 to 8 months before I could actually let somebody else in my life that I thought would pick up the reins or not replace my second wife, but I just felt like I wasn't ready to be alone at that moment, and I just seeked more companionship. I've grown used to having uh, a partner, a lover who I could share my life with, and I think life is so much more beautiful when you're able to share it with others. And that's so. So let's read what Osho says about sorrow. The pain is not to make you sad. Remember, that's where people go on missing. This pain is just to make you more alert, because people become alert only when the arrow goes deep into their heart and wounds them. Otherwise, they don't become alert. When life is easy, comfortable, convenient, who cares? Who bothers to become alert? When a friend dies, there is a possibility when your woman leaves you alone, those dark nights you are lonely, and you have loved that woman so much that you have staked all, and then suddenly one day she is gone. Crying in your loneliness, those are the occasions when, if you use them, you cannot you can become aware. The arrow is hurting, it can be used. The pain is not to make you miserable, the pain is to make you more aware. And when you are aware, the misery disappears. That was very beautiful. So wow, it's kind of interesting how we're focusing on the passing of a loved one, and these cards of such deep emotion pop up, and we're like, wow, that's pretty deep, and pretty cool too. So practice your awareness, meditate. If you feel your husband's presence or your loved one's presence around you while you're meditating, that's fine. Just keep going into silence, keep going into stillness, and go into those gaps where there's no thought, and have those gaps grow bigger and bigger until you feel yourself actually shifting in and out of dimensions. Even then, you just watch and become the watcher of yourself as you're shifting through these dimensions. And you'll go up through the chakra systems quite fast. You can do it, a beginner can do it, in 45 minutes if they are astute and determined enough to learn the trick of not looking for it, Just allow it to happen. You're not to add to your thoughts. You're just there to watch your thoughts. Okay, so the fifth card is the resolution for understanding, the understanding, and the fifth card is experiencing. And this is a beautiful card of a woman embracing a tree that's glowing, has red leaves, like it looks like in the autumn. And this is a fire card, the three of fire. Let's see if we can look it up. Here, let's see. So water, fire, three. Oh, there it is. Page 82. 81, 82. Okay. So I'm curious as to what this card means. So I'm going to read the commentary on the card before I read what the card has to say to us. An experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself, the thrill of communion, the gentle touch of your connectedness with all that surrounds us. The woman in this card is not just touching this tree, she is in communion with it. She has almost become one with it. It is an old tree and has been hard many times, and her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She is humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang any drums when it bursts forth into flower, nor play any dirges. I don't even know what a dirges is, when the trees let go of their leaves and in the fall. But then we approach her in the right spirit, and she has many secrets to share. If you haven't heard nature whispering to you lately, now is a good time to give her the opportunity. Interesting. So anyway, so experiencing. If you just look around, look into the eyes of a child or into the eyes of the beloved, your mother, your friend, or just feel a tree. Have you ever hugged a tree? Hug a tree. And one day you will come to know that it is not only that you have hugged the tree, but the tree is also responds. The tree also hugs you. Then for the first time, you'll be able to know that the tree is not just the form. It is not just a certain species or a bulb that botanists talk about. It is an unknown God. So green in your courtyard, so full of flowers in your courtyard, so close to you, beckoning you, calling you again and again. So yeah, she's embracing this tree, and the tree's got life around it. And I'd like to share maybe that when you become awakened, when you become enlightened, you could say, Buddha basically said that he didn't gain anything, but in a way he understood that he was blinded from the light that was around him. Everything around you, the trees, the flowers, the grass, the air, the sky, the earth, the stars, everything's already enlightened. In a way, it's the Garden of Eden. You just can't see it. You can't see the glow of everything. But when you become enlightened, you gain eyes, and you're able to see this glow everywhere. And it's really a beautiful thing to experience. And I hope whoever listens to this recording one day, that experience happens to you. And I won't give it all away and tell you all the other things that happen. There's a lot that happens in enlightenment. Even though it may be only like a few minutes long, it could be 45 minutes long experience of being on the mountaintop. One thing that I've come to find out is that mountaintops are very beautiful, but there's not a lot of room up there. God's there for sure, and Jesus and maybe Buddha and a few people are at that mountaintop, but there's no nourishment up there and there's not much room. So you have two choices. You can stay up there, or you can get your strap on your snowboard and ride down the mountain. And then maybe make another trip up some other time. And each time you study a different religion or a different thing like Zen or Sufism or Taoism or any of these beautiful thoughts, ways of thought, you're climbing up that mountain again. And a lot of us that are saying that they're in the dark night of the soul, basically what's really happening is that you're clearing your own path to get to the top of that mountain. And yeah, it's difficult, it's arduous, it's hard. And sometimes we have to move on when others have left us. We have to continue the journey up the mountain, even at the hardest of times, because believe it or not, once you've tasted death, once it's been a part of you, then like being enlightened, you have one foot in the door of being human and one foot in the door of being a god. So you're kind of both at the same time. Um, this has happened to a lot of people lately, are waking up, and waking up in different ways, but and waking up to enlightenment is the ultimate experience, and it is coming home to the Garden of Eden. I guess we'll end it there. All right. Thank you, Tara, for your reading and your time. And I'm going to send you this. I hope you get it. Please leave me a response in the subscribe to my channel or whatever. If you see this on YouTube, I post quite a bit on YouTube. I try to make maybe about one post a week on YouTube, and they're very beautiful posts. I may be negative a little bit in certain aspects to describe something, but I'm always positive in the outcome of the video. And the negativity is only like an impression of the positive. So you make a cast to make a clay sculpture. You make a cast, and then you pour the clay into the mold, and then the mold hardens, and you take the negative away, and then you have the positive again. Sometimes we have to do that in life because we've lost the positive in the first place. We don't have a hold of it, but we can get a hold of the negative, and through the negative, we can get back to the positive. And that's what I want you to do, Tara, is to get back to the positive and focus on your life, focus on growing, focus on the essential and all the beautiful things in life. All right, take care of yourself. Aloha and mahalos to all you beautiful people out there.